So that's what it is. But let's continue to talk about porn, guys. Let's talk about porn. So yesterday on Twitter, I did a thing that I didn't actually think was going to be that big of a deal, but then it kind of became like a big deal. And so I'd been seeing all these conservatives talk about we should ban porn, ban porn, ban porn. And all I could think about was back in 2020 when all I heard about was conservatives saying free speech, individual liberties. And now all of a sudden they're calling for the government to ban porn. Well, there's a problem with that because pornography is protected by the First Amendment. It is. Sorry. This has been ruled on 18 different ways from Sunday by the Supreme Court. Let's just read a little bit of this article on Reason.com. The specter of pornography is once again haunting the minds of certain American conservatives. Let's ban porn. And this is not even new. This is from 2019. Let's ban porn. Ross of the New York Times declared last year porn is just a product, he wrote. Something made and distributed and sold and therefore subject to regulation and restriction if we so desire. In the Daily Caller, Zach recently doubled down. Unlike a Scorsese film or newspaper, both of which are consumed for artistic enjoyment, he wrote, pornography is consumed with one outside end in mind, orgasm and masturbation. None of those things are wrong, by the way. Having an orgasm is not wrong. Masturbating is not wrong. Like, this idea that these things are wrong or dirty, this is part of the problem. If you are... Dude, mark my words. I know this is not a topic I usually talk about, but if you are sexually repressed, you are going to create so many effing problems for yourself. You are. More problems are created from sexual repression than almost any other thing. Its primary purpose is not to entertain in any colloquial sense of the word or enlightenment. In that sense, pornography is just a tool, like any other product, and can be regulated like any other product. Don't let the pornography lobby and libertarians frame this as a free speech issue. It isn't. It is a free speech issue. I'm sorry. If you believe in the First Amendment, if you are a free speech absolutist like I am, then you cannot make any reasonable argument to ban porn. Now, we can talk about things like, I'm not in favor of it and children being around it at all. That should be off the table. I'm not in favor of assault or forcing anyone to do anything. All of this should be with consenting adults only. With consenting adults participating, creating the product, and consenting adults consuming the product. But within those parameters, it is a free speech issue. I'm sorry. You should not be in the business of regulating what consenting adults can do with their bodies or to create videos or whatever the hell they're doing. But of course, this is a free speech issue, as the U.S. Supreme Court has repeatedly recognized, even in cases in which the court allowed certain restrictions on obscene material to stand. For more than half a century, the Supreme Court has drawn a line between pornography, which enjoys protections of the First Amendment, and obscenity, which does not. The distinction between the two, why any sort of all-encompassing government ban on porn would run afoul of the Constitution. In a book named John Cleland's Memoirs of a Woman of Pleasure, the Attorney General of Massachusetts, 1966, the Supreme Court considered a state effort to have a sexually explicit book declared obscene and therefore banned under state law. Not so fast, the justices told the Bay State. Even a patently offensive pornographic work, the court held, is still protected by the First Amendment. A book cannot be prescribed unless it is found to be utterly without redeeming social value. Anyone who says porn has no redeeming social value is wrong. I am sorry. I am sorry. Consenting adults consume porn all the time, and they find it to have redeeming value in their lives. Perhaps it helps them to spark the marriage. Perhaps it gives them new ideas of things to try. Perhaps it helps them reignite the passion. Reigniting passion in marriages, when we have a divorce rate the rate that we do, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe reigniting passion in marriages through watching other people do things on the TV, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that does have redeeming societal value. Again, sexual repression causes a lot more problems than people think it does. Several years later, the court revised its obscenity test in a landmark ruling that continues to hold sway in all legal debates over porn and censorship. According to Miller versus California, state statutes designed to regulate obscene materials must be carefully limited. A state may only prohibit a work for being obscene if the work meets all of the following criteria. 1. Whether the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that work taken as a whole appeals to prurient interests. 2. Whether the work depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual conduct specifically defined by the applicable state law. And 3. Whether the work taken as a whole lacks any serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. The court applied the Miller test a year later in Jenkins versus Georgia 1974 case, which centered on the obscenity conviction of a movie theater manager who screened the film Carnal Knowledge, which features nudity, but would hardly qualify as pornographic by today's standards. Writing for the majority, Justice William Rehnquist, nobody's idea of a liberal squish, struck down the conviction. Although the Georgia Supreme Court had upheld the theater manager's obscenity bust on the grounds that the First Amendment does not protect the commercial exhibition of hardcore pornography, Rehnquist put it, he took a different view, literally. Our own viewing of the film, Rehnquist wrote, satisfies us that carnal knowledge could not be found under the Miller standard to depict sexual conduct in a patently offensive way. One can only imagine the sort of conversations that Rehnquist and his colleagues had in the chamber that day. As this case illustrates, the question of whether sexually charged material rises to the level of potentially prohibitable obscenity turns in a significant part on the specific contents of the work at issue. If the government wants to ban the sale or distribution of a particular dirty movie, in other words, the government must be able to convince the courts that the movie, taken as a whole, lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Otherwise, it is protected by the First Amendment. A one-size-fits-all government ban on pornography, by contrast, necessarily avoids all such case-by-case determinations and thus violates both the Supreme Court's precedents and the broader First Amendment principles they endorsed. Like it or not, the debate about porn is always a debate about free speech. The hands of every would-be government censor are still bound by the First Amendment. So I'm sorry, guys, this should not be a discussion of whether or not you like pornography or whether or not you consume pornography. The question is, does pornography violate the First Amendment? Or is it not violate? Is pornography protected by the First Amendment? If you are going to argue for individual liberty, for freedom, then you have to argue for ideas that you may disagree with. That's just the way it goes. People are not always going to apply those ideas in different ways. Pornography is not the same as the R word because the vast majority of pornography is made by consenting adults. It's not the same thing. It is not. I don't know, why do conservatives believe, this is an honest question, why do conservatives believe that every single person is in porn is forced to be in porn against their will, and that all porn is like hardcore, like violent, extreme porn? Like, have you guys ever actually watched porn? Because most of it is not. The vast majority of it is not. Assault, the R word, is illegal. It is covered under the law. Getting children involved is illegal. It is covered under the law. Trafficking is illegal. It is covered under the law. If you don't want to watch porn, don't effing watch it. If you don't want your kids to watch porn, protect them from it. Be a parent. That's what you're supposed to do. But no, for most conservatives, maybe not most conservatives, but certainly the people who answered my poll, Because here's what happened. So this tweet started going viral. Look at this, 228 quote tweets. Let's look at some of the quote tweets. There's like, everyone is arguing to ban porn, ban porn, ban porn, ban porn, ban porn. Oh my God, they're so excited about banning porn. So I put this poll up. I said, which do you want? Choose one. You can't choose both. If you ban porn, you infringe on free speech. If you protect speech, you can't ban porn. Choose which one you want. 66% of people. Over 6,600 votes. 66% of people said, I give a flying fuck about the First Amendment. This was not a poll about porn. If you think this is a poll about porn, you're not paying attention. This is not a poll about porn. This is a poll about authoritarianism. This is a poll to see how many people understand the slippery slope. Because if you use the government, if you use the state to ban porn, then you would use the state to ban art. Because there will always, for some art, there will be a fine line between art and porn. So if you use the state, the government to ban porn, you would absolutely use it to ban art you don't like. And if you would use the government to ban art you don't like, then you would absolutely use it to ban books you don't like. And if you would use the government to ban books you don't like, then you would absolutely use it to ban video games you don't like. If you would use the government to ban video games you don't like, then you would absolutely use it to ban movies you like, and so on and so forth until we aren't even able to think. Until we aren't even able to think. This is not a question of porn. This is a question of authoritarianism. If you guys go and look at the replies, and we'll look at one of the replies. Look at this reply. Look at this reply. This is from, she is a 23-year-old at the University of Chicago. University of Chicago is a good school. It is a good school. It takes a lot to get into the University of Chicago. She's not dumb. But this is a real person, and this is very representative of many of the replies that I got to this poll. She said, I mean, free speech absolutism is dumb and not anything anyone follows. The amount of free speech we have in America has already degraded society, and we should definitely reverse that shit while we still can. Does that freak anyone else out? Does that freak anyone else out? You know, I distinctly remember when I was about 13 years old, I wanted to go to law school and become a lawyer so that I could go work for the ACLU to defend the First Amendment, freedom of speech. That's true. I have very distinct memories of this. When I moved into my house, one of the very first magnets I put on my fridge was the First Amendment. But I didn't end up going to law school because at some point, whether that was in high school or maybe it was early college, I don't remember when, I kind of decided, I was like, free speech is fine. Free speech is protected. We don't have to worry about it. People understand the slippery slope. I didn't view a need for it. And now we have 23-year-olds at the University of Chicago saying free speech absolutism is dumb and free speech has degraded America. What I learned from this poll, get it back on the screen. Not that this is the most scientific thing in the world, because it's obviously not. But what I learned in this poll is that not only is free speech under attack from the left, free speech is absolutely under attack from the right as well. And that should freak all of us out. You know, I did a video about this when I talked about getting canceled by PragerU the other day. And if you haven't watched that video, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go watch the video. I'm not whining or complaining or anything. I just think it's a sad state of affairs. I think it is a sad state of affairs that both the progressive left and the conservative right are completely fine with attacking free speech in this country. The First Amendment is first for a reason. It's first for a reason. It is one of our basic core values. We are the only country in the world that explicitly grants its citizens protection for their speech. We are the only country in the world that does this. That's something that we should, above all else, no matter if you're on the left or the right or in the middle or whatever the hell, that's something that all of us should be fighting to protect. I'm going to do a couple super chats. Sean C says porn is free/artistic as much as anything else. Even Michelangelo's David has been considered obscene at times, and yet it's a beautiful piece of art. This is exactly right. Listen, guys, you don't have to like porn. You don't have to watch porn. You don't have to consume porn. I'm not in favor of children being involved in any way, shape, or form. But the fact of the matter is that when it comes to banning porn, we also have to consider who decides what to ban and by what standards. And our standards change. Masterful works of art today would have been considered porn when they were made. And then those works of art would be lost on all of us. Just because you don't like the content does not mean you should employ the state to ban it. It is a horrible idea that will ultimately end up with speech that you like being banned. Nat D says, what about French dramas that feature real sex? I mean, listen, man, those softcore porns on like Cinemax, that's real sex. They're really having sex. It's not simulated. It's real. They're just not showing all the parts going in the things. That's real. But again, you don't have to watch it. You don't have to watch it. Let me look in my locals, see what you guys are talking about. Guys, just so you know, I'm following a live chat in locals. And so you can join my locals at kb.locals.com. You'd have to be a supporter to chat in. Let's see. What are you guys talking about in my locals? Oh, they're talking about the Maxwell case. I love it. My locals aren't even listening to me. They're having their own conversation. They're like chatting amongst themselves. Guys, if you're watching in locals and you have a question you want me to answer, a point you want me to make, go ahead and chat in. Let's see. Justin says, what about Cuties? What about Cuties? I did watch Cuties. What I thought about Cuties was I absolutely understood the point that they were making. The thing that I found most offensive about Cuties was the fact that I'm not sure that I would have found it a good idea to cast girls that young in those roles. I understood from an artistic perspective the point they were making, but I think it was probably ill-considered at best to have young girls playing those roles. Because I'm not so much worried about the people watching it, because again, you don't have to watch Cuties. No one is pointing a gun to your head and forcing you to watch Cuties. But playing those roles could absolutely have had an impact on those young girls. And so that's not something that I'm in favor of. Oh, they're talking about Maxwell being found guilty. Okay. Well, that's a whole other story. So, guys, what do you think about banning porn? Are you in favor of it? Why are you in favor of it? Do you think about any of the consequences of it? Let me know what you think in the chat. Oh, my locals are telling me that I'm doing just fine. They don't need to give me any advice. Guys, I have the best community in locals in the world. If you want to join us, head over to kb.locals.com/support. You can join for $5 a month. You can also join for $50 a year. If you want 2 months for free, you can give a one-time gift. When you join in locals, you're going to be able to unlock all the features, including chatting in when I do live streams. As a reminder, I'm going to be doing daily live streams every day except Saturday, starting in the new year at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, which, of course, is the only time that matters because I don't understand time zones and how that all works. Let me just look in the chat. Yeah, people, see, this is why I like you guys. You guys are not in favor of banning porn. And listen, guys, generally speaking, whether it's Jack Murphy or porn or anything else, here is kind of my final thought, I guess, for the day, which is that you got to stop trying to control other people's lives. You've got to stop trying to control what other people do with their lives or how they spend their time or what they do in bed or what they watch. There is a time and a place for everything. And I think that that's what freedom means. That's what liberty means. It means people maybe choosing to do things that you wouldn't do. But in order to protect your freedom to live your life the way you want to live it, then you have to protect other people's freedoms as well. I don't care who Jack Murphy peed on. That is between him and the person that he peed on. It's not something I would do. But if he consented and she consented, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, people in my locals are like, what are you talking about? I'm responding to a YouTube chat, guys. I'm responding to YouTube. It's the YouTube person's fault. But people do weird things in bed. And if you aren't doing weird things in bed that you would be embarrassed on the internet about, then you just aren't trying hard enough. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. Again, this is a little test run to just start streaming at 5 p.m. and see what happens. I will be doing this every day except for Saturdays in the new year. So I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. Hope you'll mount that like button if you haven't already. I do plan on covering a variety of topics, news, life, maybe giving some sage life advice every once in a while. But if you enjoy the show, definitely check back next year. I hope all of you have a wonderful new year. Just a quick programming note. So normally on Fridays, I do happy hour, 3 p.m. It's going to be changing to 5 in the new year. I don't believe I'm going to be doing a happy hour this Friday, though. And the reason for that, it's Joshua's fault. Okay, you guys know Joshua. I do a show with him on Tuesday nights. That's not going to be changing, by the way. But I don't know that I'm going to be doing happy hour this week because I'm going to lunch or brunch with Joshua in Boston. And then I have to come back home. And then Victor and I are going to a New Year's Eve party. So I don't know that I'm going to be doing happy hour on Friday. I may do an impromptu happy hour tomorrow at 5. Maybe. I feel like I should. I feel like we need one more happy hour to round out the new year. So I may be doing an impromptu happy hour tomorrow at 5. Happy hour is a time. It's a stream where we watch a woke training and have some cocktails or some beer or some wine or whatever you feel like drinking, and we make fun of it. And so keep an eye on the channel or on my Twitter in my locals. I will announce if I'm going to do happy hour tomorrow at 5. Justin, I will not be doing karaoke on New Year's Eve. Hell no. Hell no. And if I was going to be doing karaoke on New Year's Eve, I would absolutely make sure that all of you had your phones put away and no one's filming that shit. I've had enough personal stuff leaked on the internet lately. I don't need any of that. No way. Sean C says, buy yourself an extra drink at brunch with Joshua. Pff, please, Joshua's paying. I'm not paying for brunch. Joshua's paying. But I appreciate the super chat, Sean C. Thank you for that. All right, guys. That's all I have. Again, I hope you'll join me in locals. I have the best locals community on the internet. And if not, maybe I'll see you tomorrow for happy hour. And have a great rest of your day. Happy New Year if I don't see you sooner. Take care. We'll see you soon.